Welcome back to another review here on Nonstop Driving. Today we're going to look at this full electric Kia E-Soul. And before we do that, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to stay updated on the latest reviews on our YouTube channel. So let's get into the video. We're going to look at this Kia E-Soul, which is a full electric car today. So you can get that in two different versions compared to the Backseat, which you could get 3 for, which is a video right up there, which you can check out if you want to. So this one has the Vision and the Spirit. And the Spirit is the more expensive one, which this is fully equipped with that, apart from 2 features, which it does not have equipped. So the Spirit version is going to set you back around 44,000 euros. That's going to get you around 470 or 452 kilometers of range, because it has the 64 kilowatt an hour battery. If you want to get the lower version, which is the Vision, it's going to set you back around 38,000 with no extras in there, but there's a lot of standard features in here, just like every Kia has. So 38,000 for that, and you can also get the upgraded battery, which is going to be, Jesus Christ, 42,000 euros. Let's take a look at the front, and then we'll go and look at everything else. Let's take a look at the exterior. So the first thing you're going to notice is it still has the old Kia logo. This is the 2021 model, and it still has the old one. Down here we also have our headlights, which are LED headlights, standard. They're not your typical Kia lights because they don't go back that far, but they still look pretty nice. I think it looks pretty aggressive all in the front. Down here we still have our, well, we don't still, but it's our plastic grille with a sensor, which is going to sensor stuff in the front. Looks pretty nice down there as well. We do have our battery port in here, which is a Type 2 charger, which is probably going to charge, or is charging at around 100 kilowatt hour. Or if you charge it around 100 kilowatt hour, it's going to take almost an hour to fully charge. But if you had a wall box, it can take a lot longer to charge that 64 kilowatt an hour battery, depending on your battery size, obviously. Up here we also have our boot, or not a boot, our frunk, where you can't place stuff in there because there's actually the E-motor in there, or the motor in general. And that's basically the front. I think it looks pretty nice, and let's move on to the side. So what we have down here is our 17-inch wheels, which you can get in 2 different versions, and these are still winter tires, even though it's pretty warm, so these need to get changed soon. One thing we do have is our side, or front side, and also our front window is in UV protected glass, which is pretty nice. Also says down there UV tested for 2021. Up here we have our blinkers integrated into our side mirrors, which are also automatically foldable. And then moving further down, we obviously have our touchy thing there for our keyless go. And then we have our privacy glass in the back, which goes through the back windows. Moving further back, I think it just looks a little bit boxy, which is a good thing if you have an SUV, obviously. Up here we also have our rails, where you can have a roof capacity of around 100 kilograms, which is pretty good. And then obviously our Soul logo in there as well, just so you notice that it's an electric car. Moving further to the back, the worst thing about this car is the back. It just looks like a... just looks stupid, in my opinion. I honestly hate how it looks because of these lights. Like, what is this? Who came up in the design team and said, okay, let's put the rear lights, but let's just extend them all the way so it looks like one integrated thing. It just looks... whew. Like, the front looks good, but the back is just, nah. At night it does look a little bit better because you can't obviously see that it goes all the way through, apart from when you're braking. The trunk, we'll look at that in a second as well, but before we do that, we have our red Soul logo on there as well. Also, this is the Cassie Black metallic color, which there is a total of 11 different colors and 4 two-tone colors, which you usually see on like a Bentley or Rolls Royce, which is going to set you back 920 euros extra. So let's look at the trunk, which you open down here once the car's unlocked, and it goes up pretty easily. Also, not a nice thing is that you have this big like ledge right down here, which when you're trying to load something, you do have to pull it up pretty high because you obviously have this like thing in there. Don't know why they have that, because when you look down further, there's around, what's that, like 20 centimeters of drop down. But in general, it's a pretty good space in there, around 400 liters. And if you remove the top, there's obviously more space in there. And if you flip it over, those are both flippable. You can store more stuff in there, but you obviously lose the rear seats. So good in general. There's the battery down there as well. And that is basically the back. What we have in here. So obviously, there is a couple of different options. also automatically goes up, which is pretty nice. That's one thing. We do have our electric motor in here, which obviously you can get different versions depending on which one you want to choose. The 64 kilowatt hour battery or also the 39.2 kilowatt hour battery. Obviously, like I said, the range of this one is around 452 kilometers, depending on how you drive. And it's going to get you from 0 to 100 in around 7.9 seconds. The other thing is that you have a top speed of, well, you can go 180, which we've personally tested. And that is basically all there is to say about the engine. It does look pretty nice with that nice little EV cover on there, so it is pretty nicely covered up. That's the one thing, but there's one thing I actually want to show is, compared to the Exceed, which there was the big flaw, well, not a flaw, but it was stupid. You can actually move these things up and change them without having to go inside, flip a button or flip a switch and then change them. So that's one thing I like about this, and let's go into the interior and then I'll give you my final thoughts on the car. Taking a look at the back, on first sight it doesn't look as nice as the Kia Exceed did that we reviewed. Obviously you can check that out up there or up there, don't know which side it is. Because there's a couple of features that you don't have that the Exceed did have. For instance, you don't have climate control down here for the back, which is unfortunate. You also can't fold down the seat down here, so you can have like a nice little armrest and a cup holder in there. And because of cup holders, you can't actually fit anything in there. If you take this bottle and try to fit it in there, it doesn't fit in there, it falls out, which is not nice. So you can't put anything in there apart from down here. You can't even put that in there. And that's also one thing, you only have storage on the right side. The left side doesn't actually have any storage in there. But there's a nice little charger down here where you can have a USB port in there. You can charge some stuff. The seats are pretty comfortable as well. We do have lots of headroom. There's around 10 centimeters or so, and the legroom is phenomenal. As you can see, there's a ton of legroom, and you can also put your seat, you can put your foot down pretty far. The seat's also adjusted to around 1.70 m person. So if you take 1.80 m, you probably have around 2 centimeters less of space, something like that. Up here we do have a nice little integrated, like whatever that is, like a nice little touch there to the side. The door opener is also pretty interesting. You have to open it like that. The material up here, not that bad. Moving further down, it is a little bit cheaper though. But we do have the nice upgraded Harman Kardon sound system in here, which also gives you a subwoofer in the back and some more speakers in general. I think around 11 speakers in general. Obviously you have your automated windows as well, and that is basically the back. You obviously also have more legroom down here, which is nice because you don't have that driving train in there as well. That is the back, and I think you could be comfortably sitting in here with 3 people for a good amount of time. So let's go into the front and check that out. Let's take a look at the front. So we do have a nice little key in here, which is pretty nice. You do have a couple of different options in here: close, open, and your hold for your trunk. And that is basically it. First thing you notice is this beautiful leather wrapped steering wheel, which does feel pretty nice. It's also heated if you press this button right down here for a heated steering, which is standard. Instead of pedals, you actually, well, you still have pedals, but they're for your recuperating system. So when you press this, the recuperating is less, and when you press this, it's more. So when you put your foot off the throttle and press this, there's going to be more recuperation happening, so for more distance when you're driving in town. On here, you have a nice little controls for your sound system, for instance, skipping the songs, and also for your mute button. Up here we do have cruise control and stuff like that. Down here we have a nice little amount of your assist, for instance your heads-up display, lane assist, and also your light settings. Up here we have automatic windows, which you can change on every single one. Up here we have a nice little integrated kind of styling, which has ambient lighting on that side and on that side, and also down by the Harman Kardon sound system, which is a 11 speaker sound system, which is very nice and is very integrated. There's also a subwoofer in the back, which we didn't show. We do have that nice little opening for your door. Up here we also have a nice little air conditioning, air control, which instead of having that stupid little wheel, they actually integrated, so if you flip it all the way to the left, it closes, and then you can open it. Same up here as well. Down here we have a climate control, which is not, well, it is physical, which I'm a big fan of. Instead of having it all in the infotainment system, let's actually open that up real quick. So you press the start button, you get your heads-up display up there, and which should come out. There you go, it goes out. And then you also have your nice little full digital cockpit. And then as you can see, there is the Kia logo right in there. And then it changes to, wait for it, your kilometer an hour and stuff like that. And everything in there, also your navigation should show up in there as well. Down here we have our gear selector, which is this kind of wheel thing, which is pretty nice. So you have a wheel, your reverse, neutral, and drive, which you all select by that. And then you press the P, and then you also have the P for your release. So your parking brake, you press that to release it. You have heated seatings on these seats, which are pretty nice. These are not the leather seats, which you can get optionally, but instead they're just your normal fabric. The other options also, you can have them as massage. You have your drive mode, which are different ones. So you have Eco, you have Sport, and you have Eco. And then if you press it down, you have Eco Plus, which limits your kilometers to 90 kilometers an hour, as you can see right up there. So you get the optimal amount of range and recuperation. You have also an integrated phone charging spot right in there, so inductive loading. Instead of having to select it connected via USB cable, you can just go in there and put it on there. You don't have a physical parking brake, but instead of you have this lever, a good amount of space down here for your cups, because you can't actually fit anything in the side, which I'm not a big fan of. And just like in the X seat, you do have enough space down here for a full human head. We did go more in depth in the infotainment system in the X seat, so if you want to check that out, make sure to press on the top right for that video. So the material up here pretty nice, but the further you go down, it gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Oh, that is very cheap. And also there's the gloss black finish, which I'm not a big fan of. Other than that, it is very comfortable, and you could sit in here for a very long time because the seats are very comfortable and align to your body very nicely. So that is the interior, very nice, and let's give my final verdict now. So what is my final verdict? It's a pretty nice car in general, apart from the back, which is, doesn't look good. Also, the back doesn't have the nicest of storage space in there when you're trying to get stuff in there, because you do have to lift it up pretty high. But in general, it's a very nice car. It does have a lot of standard features, which are nice. In Kia, that is the general thing from nowadays, I guess. It looks pretty nice from the interior. You sit in there pretty nicely. You have your heated steering and everything like that. The view out the back is not the greatest, because you do have that big pillar in the back, and also when you're trying to look down, you do have to rely on the rear view camera. In front, it looks very nice. The one thing I'm not a big fan of is that you can't actually tow anything, because the car is not allowed to tow anything. So that is one thing I'm not a big fan of. But other than that, it does have very good range. It drives pretty nicely. And that is basically what I think of the car. In my opinion, good car. If you're looking to get one, make sure to get one, and watch out for the model switch, because you can't get this one anymore, because there is a model switch coming for this car.